Let me ask you a question. Have you ever sat down at the table? You have multiple parties. Let's say in this instance, you have two people, two groups, two parties, two organizations, companies, whomever who are in dispute. And as you are, navigating their interests and their positions, you are thinking to yourself somewhere in the back of your mind, hey, what did they say during one of our pre-meetings? I think I'm missing something that could be very beneficial. In this moment of the conversation. Well, that's happened to me. All right. And so what I would like to do is first, hey, my name is Daryl Diggs, and I am a Rule 17, mediator, very soon to get Rule 88. I'm an Ironman, triathlon finisher, educator of 18 plus years, workplace disputes. I have done quite a few things, but in this instant, my charge in life, in my practice in mediation, is to give value. And I want to share with you that story because I think that is a story that has connected to many people, or at least have experienced at some point, where you're juggling so many pieces of paper, so many files. You're trying to find things that get lost in notebooks that are stacked super duper high. And so, in understanding the problem that I was experiencing and probably and thinking that other people shared this with me, I wanted to create a solution, and I call it Mediator Pro. And so Mediator Pro is a way for me to just synthesize all the information, right? Keep track of everything, keep it confidential, right? House it in a particular place and space. And so what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to share with you what I created because it is something that has not only added value to my life, but in the small group of individuals that I call my inner circle of mediators. Um, Not only have I asked them to test it, but they have moved away from testing to actually adopting it into their practice. And so let me share with you what I have found to be extremely beneficial in my work. And it is this. This right here is Mediator Pro. What's amazing about Mediator Pro is that it's a platform that it enables you to follow a facilitative process in mediating tension, concern, groups of individuals. And so what you see here is that I have an active case at the moment, Jones, Jones and Smith, right? But let's walk through it together. Let's create a new case. All right, let's call this one again, Smith, and let me get a name, Fleming. Fleming. There we go. Hey, what kind of case or type is this? Let's say it's a community. All right. The parties, I get to put in here Smith. Now, there are times where I am working with multiple people as we're trying to find a solution. So what's great about Mediator Pro is that instead of me shuffling through all these pieces of paper, I can add additional parties into my record keeping. Hey, how did we come together? This was something that they found on my website. Hey, notes go here, right? I would use this because this would be my intake, right? Now, let's create that case. I will go here. Now it gives me the ability to walk through what I believe to be most important, which is this facilitative process. Here, click here. This shows you every bit of the process. There are times in which I want to be sure that I either say something, be preemptive on a conversation. That way they know where we're going and we can be as transparent as possible. But there have been times where I said, "Hey, did I say that? Did I coach them through this process as we're coming together at the table?" What's amazing about Mediator Pro is that although there are 14 steps, it is very clear as to what comes first, what goes next as we reach the end to get our resolution. So here, what you'll see is that it's giving some tips for the facilitator. Hey, identify the safety concerns, assess whether all parties are coming willingly and in good faith, right? Check if there's any power imbalances, because I think that'll be really important as we march through this process. But what's a game changer for me and my record keeping, as well as the inner circle of mediators I gave this to, is that I give them sentence stems to help them work through their process. So, for example, I may say this. I'll click this one. Are you coming to this process voluntarily, or were you directed to participate? That's a real question. And so what happens in the record keeping process for us behind the scenes is that I'll click that, it drops down to my notes, and then I can add more thoughts and notes, right? As I'm spelling this correctly, and notes. All right. Then, as I'm taking notes on this process in this particular step, again, this is step 1 of 14, I'm gonna hit complete. As you can see, it turned green. The green helps you keep track of where you're going and if you have missed a step. As you can also see, is that how I mentioned about this being saved? You can click this red link, which allows you to save this directly to your Google Drive so that all of this information stays with you. Now, you can import information, you could export a comprehensive file. Again, connect this to your Google Drive. Here shows you what version you have, and I'll mention this in a little bit. I have two versions for you to jump into. Now, let's go back to the process. In this process is listed out very intentional. Hey, all right, this is going to be the agenda that we set together. Reminders, use neutral, non-judgmental language, but these are some stems to help you as you're navigating this conversation between your parties. And you know what? Let's choose this one. Hey, I want to make sure the agenda reflects what's actually brought each of you here today. You might want to use a couple of these. And whatever you use, click it, it jumps down, and now you just continue with your note taking. So, hypothetically speaking, if this was a real case, I would hit complete. Again, remember, green, right? So let's keep going. Let's keep going. By the time you get to the end, now you close and follow up. Same thing holds true. We have tips, sentence stems for notes to add to your notes, and then you record anything else you want, down in this space. Now, documents. This is where you have your cases. All right, I have two there. All right, analytics. This shows you how you're doing as far as completing the 14-step process. Some of us may be like, you know what? I do a phenomenal job on the intake. I always hit that pretty hard. And when I get to the options, you know what? I do great job there as well. But for some reason, I'm missing the storytelling aspect, right? Like, okay. And you could use that in the analytics pieces, but again, here go all your cases. And then also here is your dashboard where you get to keep track of everything. This tells you where you are at any given time. And so, team, when it comes to Mediator Pro, this is a tool to add value to your practice as you are moving forward in this work. Now, there are two tiers. There's a Mediator Pro Lite and a Mediator Pro Max. The Lite version, you can get access to that on my website, digsathetable.com/resources. And there's also a Mediator Pro Max. I showed you the Pro Max, which gives you everything: 14 steps, interest mapping, auto-generated documents. You get the sentence stems, you get, the analytics on the dashboard, and you get to track yourself, over time. For the Pro, there's a higher price for that. The Lite is $39. You can find all that information on my website, but please connect. Let me know what you think. Download it. If you need help, reach out. This is something for you. One-time purchase, no subscription, no monthly fee, no cloud storage. This is all yours. Let's go.